Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to March installment of the Transportation Accessibility Advisory Committee. It is 12:33. Thank you for bearing with me for a couple minutes. Let's go around the table and do introductions. You want to kick us off?
Sure. Carrie Sheldon, representing Precinct G.
Patty Thorson, Vice Chair representing Trellis.
You can keep on going. Go ahead, Julie.
Julie Sellner, Metromobility.
Okay.
Thanks, Bert. Patsy Murphy, Precinct C.
Stephanie Cada, I'm here with Patsy today.
Scotty Carter, OEEO.
Heidi Meyer, MNCCD.
Doug Cook, Metro Transit.
Claudia Fugly, MNCCD.
And I will go David Fenley, Chair.
And Darrell Paulsen,
Oh.
Region F, I believe, or District F, whatever it is.
Thank you, Darrell. You're moving around. I didn't keep up with you. Awesome. I'll read the Dakota Land, Water, and People Acknowledgement, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So the Metropolitan Council acknowledges that the land Oh, we have people online, that's right.
Hi, guys.
I'm so sorry. Sam, thank you.
Jasmine, Precinct A.
Thank you, Sam.
Who else? Is anybody else online? All right. Well, if folks join online, feel free to chime in after the Land, Water, and People Acknowledgement. So the Metropolitan Council acknowledges that the land we currently call Minnesota, and specifically the 7-county region, is the ancestral homeland of the Dakota Oyate, who are present and active contributors to our thriving region. As part of the Metropolitan Council's commitment to address the unresolved legacy of genocide, dispossession, and settler colonialism, and the fact that government institutions, including the Metropolitan Council, benefited economically, politically, and institutionally after the forcible removal of the Dakota Oyate, the Metropolitan Council is dedicated to instilling land, water, and people commitments in regional policy. These commitments support the Dakota Oyate, the 11 federally recognized tribes in Minnesota, Ho-Chunk Nation, and the American Indian communities representing over 150 diverse tribal nations that call the 7-county region home. Awesome. Okay, so I don't think we have quorum yet. I'll wait on the agenda and the approval of the agenda and the minutes. We can just dive right into our agenda with the priority seating campaign.
Can I, are we making any changes to our agenda?
Not that I know of, but when it's time to approve it, if you want to, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, committee. I'm Ange Olsen. I'm a senior market development specialist with Metro Transit. We've done a lot of research in the past year in 2025 regarding priority seating and how to improve things as we've done in the past. There we go, awesome. So giving a nice little bit of background here, 2020 through 2024, we ran a campaign that many of you saw on the buses. One of the challenges we faced is when we launched that campaign, COVID hit. And with that, a lot of our buses were pulled out of service because we didn't need to run them, and a lot of those ads were on those buses, unfortunately. So should we have done a better job? I want to acknowledge that, yes, and that's what we're moving forward with. We ran this campaign through 2024. In 2025, we put a stall slightly on it, and we actually did surveys, and we surveyed the larger community, those that need accessibility, and those that don't. And with that, we actually found some things that kind of surprised us. And now in 2026, we're going to be moving forward with a new campaign that is still in development. Part of the feedback loop, give me a second here. Next. Yeah. So we had 5 different audiences. You're seeing part 1 of 2, but those audiences included customers, those that need accessibilities, operators, equity, and customer relations. So we asked for that feedback and got a lot of information. Customers, which we found interesting, those that are sitting in accessibility and don't seem to get up when it's apparent that somebody wants to, it's convenience. is the biggest thing. They're either afraid, maybe they're not familiar with transit, and they want to sit as close to the operator as possible, or they're planning on hopping on and hopping off, which is not an excuse, but it helps identify the why. And knowing that kind of is the key to the thing. Most of them, just under 95% of customers already know what priority seating is and know what it's for and who's supposed to be sitting there. So we don't need to educate people on what priority seating is, but we need to reinforce the idea. And that's the concept that we're working with. With this, we had a lot of feedback with information. We're going to go ahead and next twice, because I covered a lot of that already in the feedback loop. And so elements of the new campaign, which is still being developed, is we're going to be informational, making sure that people know to be considered. If they see somebody who might need more stability, to give up their seat. We're not necessarily asking people to move to the back of the bus because that could be insensitive, but show kindness, consideration, and others. We're going to be also focusing on our operators to make sure that they are aware. So we do have education, but we want to make sure that they have reminders on the bus while they're working that consideration and respect go a long way. And then along with that is changing the focus. As I said before, we're moving forward instead of saying priority seating, this is what it is. It's more of like, kindness is what gets around. We all need a little bit more kindness in the world today. And so kind of pushing forward that. The imagery that we're going to be moving with is illustrations. So instead of trying to target people specifically, we're going to use illustrations to illustrate that, similar to what we did with the Ride with Pride, but we're going to go into a different direction with that, which is an older campaign that we've done. Now, a lot of this is simplifying things. If you go to the accessibility website right now, it is a single page with a lot of information. Almost too much information. So working with our creative team, we're going to be breaking it down into smaller pieces that are easier to understand. So if someone needs information about accessibility for the Met Council or Metro Transit, there'll be a specific page for that. Priority seating will be a specific page. Rules of riding or how to ride for those that might be new to Metro Transit, there'll be a specific page for that, all under the accessibility umbrella. But as attention spans wane, I always call it the popcorn generation. The microwave popcorn, 2 minutes is too long for that popcorn. That if we do it in smaller bite-sized pieces, we can direct people directly to that information. Same with social media. Instead of having someone to hunt for that information, they can go directly to that website and find it much more readily. So we're actually targeting the information so that it's a lot easier. And that's for everybody because we want to be able to see that, make sure it's visually appealing, but also easily attainable. Okay, go ahead next. And so some of the elements are, as I mentioned before, internal, working with operations, training them, because they are often the first round of approach that everybody sees. But it's not just them, it's also trip agents, those that are kind of enforcing the fares on light rail and on our bus rapid transit system, but also Metro Transit PD. So we're kind of working in junction with all of them instead of just operations, with the same message, same understanding, helping those that might need a little bit more assistance and understanding that. We're going to be working with the annunciators, which are the messaging aboard the buses. So if someone lowers the ramp for any reason, the bus driver or operator can actually hit a button reminding people to give up their seats for those that might need it. So there's that reinforcement, but it also, the operators are feeling safer because we know that a lot of people are not, don't listen necessarily. So it's another reinforcement. And so we're kind of like building upon that. The internal information is also going to be shared across all staff. So if somebody else is writing, it might see that maybe someone else needs help. It's not the responsibility of operations, it's the responsibility of all of us to assist those that might need it. General awareness, we're going to have onboard messaging. So there's going to be messaging on the interior cards. We are revamping the messages in the priority seating area so it's much easier identifiable for those that maybe English is not the first language. And so among those, we did this as an experiment with light rail, and we're currently testing it right now on our buses that use the plastic seats by using the wheeled icon that we see so often, because that is easily translated to everybody. They see that and then realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't sit there, that's for somebody else. And so it's much more passive, but it's easily identifier. It's an easy identifiable reason that crosses any barriers that may come across. Does that make sense? And then along with that, we will be exploring more outreach. So like bus side ads will be used, but specifically those at the doors. So as people board the buses, it's not on the opposite side. It's as they're coming up to the bus to board the bus, they're going to see that ad reminding them, maybe I should give up that seat. So this is much more targeted. Although a softer message, it's a little bit more reinforceable. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. I see you. Do I wait for the chair to thing? I'm sorry, it's been years.
Okay. Heidi, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, because I don't read well and process always.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people who have special education, they're using the city bus to go to work with maybe a staff or something, but they still have to follow the rules of the bus, you know? So if you can do some teaching, you know, simple 101 teaching, you know, how to use the front seats, how to use the bus, and how the things you're talking about, the seating of all the different things, that would really help. Because some of the stuff is like a lot to take in, and there's a population that gets kind of left out of it. When you're saying everybody who uses the bus should learn this or at least know about it, but how can you if you can't read or process? So you're going to make it in a way that everybody can join in? And I thought maybe some videos, some cool pictures, you know, because I just was at a bus stop. And you had, you know, it used to be where the company would buy that bus bench and put an advertising, but it was in Spanish. And it was your little logo of the tea guy, and, you know, and the same thing you have at the State Fair and some little graphics. I don't read Spanish, but it got my attention enough to know, like, I would like to know what this says, you know? So something just to think about if you're hitting different types of groups of people that have to learn to take the bus, not just people from around the world, but also the disabled that have to figure this out too.
No, thank you for bringing that up. As a note, the bus benches we see out in the market, those are actually not owned by Metro Transit. Those are owned by a third advertising company. And so we had some issues in the past with them, and they've had now new leadership, and now they're willing to work with us again. So we're going to see a little bit more of the bus benches in play for future campaigns.
Nice. Darrell.
Thank you for being here. We've worked on this campaign tremendously. And I remember when we did the signage for the campaign, for the priority seating, and we spent several months on looking at what that priority seating looks like, what the signage looks like. I would suggest that keeping the logos on the signage where the seating is particularly is okay. I would also encourage it to be to either add some other identifier or some other thing that would say that this information is available in other languages. I'm excited to hear that you guys are adding markings for the seating. I'm excited to hear that you're putting the signage at the front door. I'm excited to hear that the annunciators are going to be playing that message as well. But I also know in the evening time, a lot of times the drivers can turn that off, and they often do. So also what I'm wondering is if it could be played on the annunciator, and we have already said that we know 14,000 messages go out on those things. I mean, how often are we going to hear, please give up your seat? And eventually, even us that need to sit there are gonna get tired of hearing that.
I appreciate your comments.
Because I'm not giving up my seat
Yep.
for anybody. I can't.
I get it.
I would love to.
One of the things after talking with operations is especially some of the newer drivers are somewhat shy, timid, and whatnot. And so some of them are very, very happy to share the information and use their voice. This is another opportunity for them. And so we discussed whether it could be happening when the ramp is launched, but then it's not always appropriate because sometimes it's someone carrying in groceries or things like that. So it's actually going to be an active choice of when they lower it and the person's coming in, that they press that button to activate that message.
But if it will, okay, so you're saying that, okay, we're going along the ride, right? And people are getting on and off, right? That spot next to me, there's only 2 spots on the bus that I can sit in to. And the reason I bring this up, and I'm glad we're having this on the agenda today, it's just like when I was doing a bathroom remodel, and I couldn't put the toilet where I wanted to put the toilet based on, I wanted to move my toilet to the kind of kitty wampus, so that if I had a visitor and they needed to transfer, they could transfer from either side in a wheelchair, right? But as I was dealing with my contractors, they said, come on, sometimes you just gotta live with things the way they are and just deal with it. And I said, look, sometimes I will be able to do that, but guess what? This is the only place that I get to go to the bathroom. You get to use the bathroom at a gas station or at a convenience store anytime you need to. This is the only place where I can sit on the bus. So I will tell you that I worked with drivers that are very forceful in protecting those spots, but it's usually drivers that have been in some other capacity before they became bus drivers. So they're willing to kind of stand up for you. But then I've been in some spots where the drivers are scared and we've been maced and the driver runs off the bus and we're still locked into the bus, so we have no way of protecting ourselves.
You're not wrong on that.
And so what I'm trying to say is I welcome the fact that you're encouraging your drivers to be more proactive on that, and I like the fact that we're following it up with other messaging. How can we, as committee members, be a part of that campaign? I mean, either visually or verbally, because I'm constantly talking to drivers and they constantly have different opinions on that.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because that comes into my segue here is I have an ask.
You got an ask.
I got an ask. So
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and invite the question. I know what.
Heidi, is that a follow-up to Darrell?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What he's talking about, but it's also, a lot of this, I would like to see it like cross over each other, meaning, so that advertising kind of matches up with that. So if you're doing teaching or learning or any kind of help, to make this work, that it's easy to understand. There's no miscommunication, because we sometimes write things where now I'm confused because over there it says this. And because I had that downtown St. Paul trying to get to 54 and I had to be one down, and then I told the guy that I already paid outside and he said, you can go, I believe you. But I didn't know, because no one told me that, the 54 is still pay inside the bus thing. Now you have this stand and I've been taught to pay, when you're outside, inside, so how do we teach when you got like 5 different rules and how this works? And I was taking the bus and watching as I was going down going, yep, that one doesn't, that one does. So how do you follow what you're asking? If you're.
I'm going to put a
like
pin in
5
that one because that's a
rules.
different conversation altogether. But going back to the priority seating, the ask is phase 1, I talked about the illustrations that we're focusing on. Phase 2, because we need time to schedule this, is that I would actually really like for this committee to consider being photographed and sharing stories that we can share with our internal audiences first so that they understand the compassion that's needed and understanding that it's not just a customer. I don't care. I mean, just putting somebody else's voices like, this isn't my job type of thing, where hearing your stories and connecting those stories with humans, I think can do a lot. And then exploring possibly of branching that out, but in marketing, we have to minimize stories, unfortunately. And so the whole story can't be told, if that makes sense. We'd have to bring it down to like a sentence or two, which doesn't always work sharing a story. So we can do this with operations, PD, and TRIP, but trying to do it for the outside audience, having just someone telling their story is too much information and we lose them. So we're trying to find a way of integrating a phase 2 with that. So I would like to invite you to consider it, and then I can follow up with Doug in a separate conversation of having that as like a phase 2 or 2027 campaign, because we have a lot of things that are moving forward.
Go ahead, Patty. Yeah.
I'm still a little frustrated because the reason I brought up the bus thing about the different locations, because we have so many different kinds of learning and how this bus works. And we need to streamline it. So if we're doing it for like handicap seating, it should also be with the other things we're advertising and talking about. Because I'm learning that, because I don't want to get in trouble, doing something incorrectly, not knowing the system, because you have 3 different ideas, and no one brought it to our attention. So I just wanted to bring that out. The same with the seating thing, because I can hear some people going, well, you didn't tell us that, and then we got a whole new problem. Just like when I was tapping my card, not knowing, the rules of the way of the land. So it's the same thing with the seating. Like Darrell was saying, he wants to go to the bathroom anywhere he wants to, but it doesn't work. And I'm trying to learn just how to pay correctly just to get where I need to go and use the disability seating appropriately. So Darrell and I can get along with each other.
Well, one of the challenges I face is priority seating is my campaign. That is something I can control and work on getting input. Paying your fare, unfortunately, is from another marketing person. So I'm taking your words back to them so that we can do that. Because for me, I can simply sit there and say, anything that's a metro vehicle, you pay outside, and a standard bus, you pay inside. But that's not always easy for people to understand because we all see things differently, if that makes sense.
That's why I brought it up, because it goes back to you want me to follow your rules and how you sit in a handicap area. I want to be able to get some simple steps, to follow it so we can teach, and learn and understand. Now I'm getting a little confused after all this remodeling.
Thank you.
I think to Heidi's point, I'm going to try to help you out here, Heidi. It's a processing issue, right? For a lot of folks, we're smart enough, we can process things, but we process things differently, right? For me, I process this the way I process things, but Heidi processes it differently. So she's just saying, how do we make sure that we quantify that? And how do we make sure that the people that are using our system are actually benefiting from it? So one of the things that I see that has never been on this committee before or in your campaigns is getting the voice of folks that have developmental disabilities or folks that might have a mental illness. And from time to time, their behaviors or the way that they navigate in the system might be disruptive, or it might look a little differently to some of us that we think are, quote, normal, right? But none of us are really normal unless
One is.
we all have our own little quirks and our own little deficiencies and our own little benefits that we put out there. So the biggest thing that I would encourage you to take back is to make sure that you bring the voice of the elderly to this campaign. Make sure you bring the voice to somebody with a mental illness to this campaign. Make sure you bring the voice to somebody that has processing issues. And it includes somebody that might feel differently on how they ride the bus in the daytime versus somebody that rides the bus in the evening time. And understand the complexities of that and why your ridership changes for those populations. It's not about safety or about feeling safe on the bus. A lot of it is about how do I use the system, how do I get around, and how does it benefit me without me having to wait for 2 hours to get back home, or to ride the bus all the way back to my spot, right? And for most of us with disabilities, we start to put into play the weather. Weather has a lot to do with how we ride the bus and how we operate within our transit system. So how do we take all those complexities and kind of fold it into the priority seating part, so that when people are learning it, right, they're not just saying, oh, it's those damn disabled people. They want to make sure that they have a ride or a seat on this bus. Well, if we couple it with all this other stuff, then they're not going to be looking at me as a disabled guy in a wheelchair and saying, well, isn't there a special bus for you guys? Why aren't you guys taking that special bus? Because you know what I tell them? I say, this is my special bus. And you can either ride with me on it, or you can continue to fight with me about it. And the driver will continually tell you to get off the next stop. And eventually, we all begin to sing that this is our special bus. And so it starts to create that kind of image. So I'm excited to see this move forward. I was wondering when we could bring it forward. I'm glad it happened in the springtime, right before our ridership increases for this population. So I encourage you to keep doing it and bring it to us as early as you can.
As soon as I
So that we can ask for more funding, particularly in this case, funding to promote programs like this.
Thank you.
Well said, Darrell.
Yeah, thank
Do
you.
you
Because
want
I
to
was trying
respond,
to make
Angie?
that point where there's interconnections, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the three communities that you mentioned are good to highlight. Did you want to respond, Ange?
I don't think I need to. I have a good relationship with Darrell. We've talked many times.
We've worked on a couple other,
Yep.
we've worked on a couple other committees. I think.
Yep. With that, I'm going to have this ask is that this is recorded, correct?
Yes.
So I would almost want to pull that segment out of what both of you had shared with the larger marketing community. I'm an odd duck within my marketing team. I'm in the process of getting my ADA advocacy training.
Nice.
So I'm been actively pursuing that so that I can tell our story. It's not a you and us, it's us as a community, because accessibility benefits everyone. And I'm working with other organizations in the city that are entertainment-based to improve their accessibility too, but that's a side subject altogether.
I'm coming to you and asking you more about that.
I still need to finish my training. I'm supposed to wrap everything up in June or July, so that's
Nice.
what's going
I'll
on.
make a note.
I'll open up any other questions.
Thank you.
Claudia?
Okay, I have a question. Is there something for the passengers to tell them what can be on a bus and what cannot be on a bus?
Oh, that's a good point.
Because when I get on a bus, I try and get on a bus, the driver warns me that there's not enough room. And I go up to the platform of the bus, I find super large baby strollers, furniture, dogs, whatever, in the handicap seating. So I'm waiting for the next bus. Again, the bus is full with the same thing.
Right.
Is there something that tells passengers what they can have on a bus and the size of a baby stroller or whatever, so they don't take the handicap seats? Thank you.
Yeah, she was right.
I don't have an answer because I'm being truthful. However, this does need to be brought up to operations because they do need to reinforce that. Large dogs should not be on the bus unless they're for accessibility. Yet I see people bring their big dogs on the trains all the time.
Yeah.
And so I don't have answers for you, but I'd rather say that than give you a glib answer, as it were.
Thank you. Heidi?
So what she brought up makes a good point, because you're campaigning for something that has a bigger problem sometimes, where, because I've literally seen people get on the bus and say, I need this, no, lift up the seats, they'll park there, or whatever, and forget Claudia, or anybody in a wheelchair or a scooter or a walker that needs those seats, So I don't know how you're gonna do the campaign if we got another issue that blocks that campaign, So it's something you might wanna bring back and figure out, how to handle it, because I know it's an ongoing thing for years and years, and it's never gonna get 100% solved. But it makes it hard to do your campaign and us having our seat.
No, but I think there's a creative way of doing it.
About that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a creative way of doing it of like, do this, don't do this
Chair,
type of thing.
Chair, I'm gonna ask a question of you. Do you know, is there a regulation that would, that we could exercise under the ADA or the Title II code of accessibility to ensuring that those two seats, those accessible seats remain open and only are used for the purposes that they're designed for? I know that's gonna be hard, because even somebody with a mental illness or somebody who is obese or has a little bit of walking issues, they have the right to sit there as well. So, I mean, is there any way that we can limit that or kind of be more stronger in our state statute or in our regulation?
It's a good question that I'd like to discuss offline, just so we don't provide any misinformation here. Enforcement of civil rights is hard to begin with. And like you said, disabilities are non-apparent too, so we don't know, maybe the person with 3 grocery bags has a disability in the priority seating. So it's real tough. Like Ange was saying, it's just a matter of, empathy and respect and compassion and just kind of agreeing that we have, people who look, move, think differently in this world, and let's have some space for that.
I know your trip agents have been creative in handing out like free rides or like even gift certificates at times. I don't know if they do it only during the holidays or during the cold weather months. But I would as we're looking through our system and trying to weed out the individuals that like to sit there just for convenience, maybe say, hey, I can give you, if you can move back one seat for me a little bit so we can get this person in here, I'll give you a coupon for a free McDonald's or something. I know that that's kind of a creative way of doing things, but I watch those trip agents do a lot of weird stuff. I don't know if they're doing it out of their own pockets or if.
I wish I had answers. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Doing, but I think I told the story once before. I had to pay somebody $10 to shield my family from some bad behavior that was going on in the train, and even when I mentioned that to the train conductor, because he's up in the front box where I can't get to, but I made sure I knocked on the window, made sure he got his attention. He's like, well, I wish I would have known that. I would have definitely told him to get off the bus, get off the train or something. But it's those kind of things that we do creatively, just so that we can get around in a safely responsible manner. So I'm wondering if we can use some of that creativity to kind of make sure that those seats stay open.
I don't have answers for that. A lot of times we are very limited at what we can do based on the fact that how we get our funding.
Yep.
If you notice, we don't do big prizes anymore for events or drawings because of the restrictions that are given to us. Yeah. And so the trip agents may be doing that on their own volition, which is like awesome. But at the same time, it's like I will have to do some bigger digging with trip agents, but with operations alone, we kind of need to look further into how they're training, and the instructors say one thing, but it's the students that might be saying something else. So we have to get to know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger conversation as well. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
Sorry. I think it's a bigger conversation. I'm glad we're bringing it up, and I think to David's point about talking about more offline, because so for example, our OEO Civil Rights Unit, like our responsibility is compliance, right? Making sure we are compliant to Title II ADA spaces, right? And so there's spaces and we're like, oh, we're being compliant and saying, hey, you have to follow the rules. But in case-by-case basis, when you're on a bus in those spaces in real time, you are looking for more creative spaces to do it, right? And so one of those ways that we talk about, and you all know this, that the largest form of complaints we get is ADA related, right? And so it is tracking those moments, those things that come along so that it tells a better story. So when we are saying to the trip agents or to the operators, like, hey, this is an ongoing issue, we're tracking it, right? So even the stories that we're talking about here today are good so we can have knowledge of them, but we don't have the knowledge of them, they're just going on and we don't have them on record on file. Just so that we can say, okay, we want to be compliant, but we also want our standards to be higher than the compliance issues.
Right, we want to go beyond compliance.
Right, we need to be beyond compliance. And so I think, and what triggered me to think about this was to bring up civil rights, right? The idea of like these unalienable rights that we don't have, but in those spaces, empowering trip agents, empowering others to be creative is also important too. Because what we don't want is like follow the rules and like now this person's becoming, a police officer in the space, right? Now they're antagonistic. And you don't want that space too. So
We want everybody to be safe.
yeah.
Go ahead, and then we'll come back to you, Heidi.
I apologize for coming late. You may have addressed this question, but it being this, and this is a small question of all these big questions and topics, but is at the beginning in your slide deck, you talk about the former campaign being "Make room for those in need" as a tagline. Do you have new taglines or?
We're playing with it, but it's along the lines of being considerate. We had like 4 different taglines that we are looking at. I don't have that information in front of me. But if someone, David, if you share me the notes or a passage, I can share what those concepts are.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Heidi?
The other problem you're gonna have is, because I've taken the 54 late at night, from the Mall of America, and I'm saying, but when the airport is packed with people working, you're not gonna be able to do your campaign. Because it's all just people from the Mall of America going back down to St. Paul or along the way to St. Paul. So the idea kind of gets lost, and I'm in there already, and I'm lucky I can just sit in a seat and do my part. But it gets really packed, so how do you work with, the working community with that? Because there are times when the buses are packed and it's all people that work at like the airport or work at this place, or they're coming from different working locations, but they all take that one bus, and so the handicap part gets kind of lost in that picture. Because I've never seen a bus so packed with different people from around the world. Just so your campaign kind of gets a little lost. So I just want you to think about that. Like Darrell said, at night is different, in the daytime is different, morning's different, so, and I've seen it packed where your campaign will go right out the window.
May I acknowledge?
Yes, please.
So with that, we can stop and do nothing, and nothing changes. We can do something, and maybe we teach a few people, and we reach those few people, and then those few people talk to others and reach them. If we wait and do nothing because they can't see it, same thing could be said about Twins games and things like that. But if one person speaks out, that is a louder voice than what there was before. It's always going to be baby steps. There is not 100% answer with everything. We can't solve everything all at once. Doesn't mean we have to give up.
Can certainly try them.
We can certainly try. Well, we're not going to try to give up. We're going to try to enforce, educate. Yep, we are working on it. But when the bus is standing room only, yep, the message is going to get missed. We still have the annunciators, but people have their headphones on. So there's always going to be a barrier. It's just kind of getting creative with those barriers and finding ways around it. I hope that it's not the answer you probably wanted, but it's getting there.
Because you're thinking about it, because you're challenging my answer, and you're wanting to make a difference and do something about it, which is good, and I'm happy with that.
Okay, if I came across as challenging your answer, that was not my,
No,
that was not my
I meant it
choice.
in a nice way. You're challenging it because you're willing to take the work and do the work and make a difference. You're making me see that, yeah, you can do it. I mean, there are ways we can figure this out, not an all-end thing. Thank you.
Heidi, thank you. I appreciate your words.
I was thinking about what Claudia was saying about do people know what is and is not allowed? I'm wondering, I know that with Metro Mobility, we have a user's guide, a rider's guide. Would there be a possibility of developing something that would accessible? I don't know that this is the right wording, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Accessible guide to using Metro Transit and kind of covering the things that we know are allowed and would be helpful.
The question I have with that, not challenging you,
No,
this is
no.
for clarification, would that handout be for all riders or accessible riders? Because it's one of those issues, if it's a book, if it's a document on accessibility.
I'm thinking of just using the rider's guide for Metro Mobility as an example. It's available online so that people can download it. It's not something that makes an immediate impact on a bus, but it's something that can be referred to and say, if you have a computer, here we have put something together that outlines what we do allow or what is helpful, I don't know that I'm spitting it out. Am I making
what you're
it?
saying. I think we're getting off topic.
Okay, yeah.
And I see other people wanting to chime in, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea at all.
No, but I understand.
But now is definitely not the time to hash out this new rider's guide.
Just to address it briefly, is that on all buses, interior cards, there are rules or code of conduct on every single bus and every single train. The rules are all there. The challenge is who's enforcing them.
Yeah.
MTPD is pursuing criminals.
But the rules that are on conduct on the bus do not say you're not allowed to bring more than 4 bags of stuff.
No, it does not. It focuses on the big things. That is like, don't use drugs and things like that, because they prioritized that.
Don't put your feet on the
Seats.
things like that.
Yep.
I can't put my feet on the seats anyway, so.
Patsy?
I was just going to go off of what Patty was saying, because I was going to approach that same idea. Yes, what she is saying is very true. Like when you're on Metro Mobility, for anybody who, obviously most of you know it, but you cannot go grocery shopping and come back with 6 bags of groceries. The rule is what will fit in your seat.
Yeah.
Even if you have a service dog, that is a little more lenient on that, because not all dogs are going to fit in that area at your feet. But otherwise, exactly what Patty is saying, there is a limit. And how you can enforce that, I think, turns out like you're saying. It would be the operators who's going to have to monitor it and have the what shall I call it, the strength, the time, and the kindness to be able to say it in a way that, sorry, ma'am, but we would limit to only 2 bags that can fit on your lap.
Well,
And how could you really do that?
Right.
Well, and also, I mean, people use the bus to, like, it's their only mode of transportation, so we have to have a little bit of compassion. But I don't want to go down this road too much. Darrell,
I just
speak to it.
Yeah, speak to it. I'm gonna speak to it, and Julie can clarify it with me. That we do have the right to put 4 bags of groceries on the bus at any given time, and those bags could be assisted by the driver if the driver chooses to do that. If not, anybody that you're with, or in my case, my daughter, puts our bags up there. So he has to wait a little bit, but he has time to strap us down. But you are allowed to have, yes, 4 bags on the bus, and that's the reality of it. So if people bring 4 bags, and like myself, I bring a book bag and a couple other bags on my wheelchair, what happens is, I'll tell you what the biggest problem is with most drivers, because when I put bags on my wheelchair, then it impedes their ability to try to get to my straps or to strap down my chair the best way they can. So they prefer if I have my bags separated, so then they can just put them on the bus, separate them, put them in the seat, lock them up, just like they lock up the stroller or a walker, not, you know. I mean, but the point is you are allowed to have extra bags, and you don't have to leave them sit on your lap. They can be in a seat. And that's the rule, and Julie could clarify it and tell me that the rule has changed if it's changed, but I bet you it hasn't changed.
Hasn't, you're right on.
Thank you.
I have a really good question.
All right, you can take us home, Heidi.
Yeah, my question is, have you ever looked at other cities that deal with this a lot and get some of their ideas? Maybe they had something that really sparked the community to listen, and or maybe the community got together to make it happen, and maybe that would be a good idea to, just to kind of see if it worked over there, what are they doing? And maybe we can just take one idea, but you're not stealing it, but you're kind of learning from them. And so when you do your marketing, you can kind of take those ideas and say, hey, how does it work for Minnesota?
David, may I respond to that?
Please.
It may be a surprise to all of you, but all transit agencies steal from each other. That is very known. We all steal from each other. Okay. We steal ideas and things like that. There was one idea I really wanted to implement that was very well done in Texas. And we can't.
Anything from Texas.
No, but we can't do it here because we have something that they don't.
And I was born in Texas.
Snow. They use a floor cling to designate the entire priority seating as blue with the handicap icon. When ice, snow, or wet hits those clings, it becomes slick, and it becomes a safety issue. So one concept we really wanted to do, we can't, because there's no way we can keep the bus clean if we use proper ones that have texture on it so people don't slip, but then all the residue gets stuck on that and things like that. So there are things that other agencies can do because of where they live, where we cannot.
One other quick suggestion. I think this would be fun to play with the bus rodeo, and when they do the bus rodeo, and the operators go out there and can compete in that. This would be fun to have them play with the priority seating and see how fast they can lock themselves in and get people to move. It'd be fun. I got some ideas.
Okay, I'll bring it up to operations.
Doug?
Yeah, so actually, we have done that in the past. We've had a special station during the bus rodeo for lowering the ramp and doing all that stuff, but that necessarily doesn't mean that they do it every year. So it's a good reminder, and if she brings it up to operations, that'd be kind of nice to see.
State fair, because it's getting lesser and lesser learning about the transportation.
Oh, yeah, talk to the state fair.
So I thought the state fair would be a great place to bring some of your ideas,
That's a whole different situation because most of that is done by private transit. It's done by Lorenz, and they're not gonna take our suggestions during state fair time.
Well, I just thought to share with the community and get feedback and learn about it, and teach. What's wrong with that? We do it with our legislative stuff.
You and I can work on that on our off time, Heidi.
Darn.
This was a very robust discussion, and I'm not surprised that everybody chimed in the way
very
that they
passionate.
did. I think your ask of us, I've heard at least 3 stories here that could be boiled down into like 1 or 2 sentences that I think would.
Is there an opportunity for, I'm going to ask if there's a Google or Team Chat channel that could be set up to continue this specific dialogue about the ask?
We could do a subcommittee.
Yeah.
Because I would like to contribute and get ideas so I can feed them out to the appropriate people, but trying to do that via email is not as efficient.
I mean, I'm thinking like an audio message, like someone just records an audio message and then your folks can just pull out like some meaty 1 or 2 sentences and.
Yep, and then an image, like get a professional photo
Yeah.
shoot.
I mean, Claudia struck me like you wait for 3 buses and every single time one comes, there's, somebody in that space with whatever piece of furniture and now you're waiting for the next bus.
I have tried to bring a chair on the bus before.
But I think it's understanding that compassion. I brought this up to one of the assistant general managers, being disabled. None of our leadership is considered disabled. And I said,
That we know of.
I know, but I said, well, why not have like an opportunity where you have weights on your legs? Or that you are blindfolded and have to navigate to the bus stop, or things like that. And she had never heard of this. And it was like, well, it's done a lot in companies. It's understanding that perspective and then gaining empathy through it.
Yes, when done right, they can be beneficial. Go ahead.
Real quick, I actually just experienced this with bus operators in their apprentices program. I actually just did this last week where they took us on a bus. We were blindfolded, had headphones on, so we knew what it felt like to be on the bus. Couldn't see, couldn't hear, understanding what that accessibility kind of looked like. So there are pockets of spaces like here in Met Council that are thinking about accessibility in those dynamic ways. But I just you just brought it up and I was like, oh man, I just thought like how the experience changed how I look at public transit.
Thank you. That's actually wonderful news that they're learning that, because unless they experience it, they have no idea.
That's actually when I was in PT schooling. When you said that, ma'am, I was like, wow, because that's what they did with us, students. We had to play the role for a day of being in a wheelchair, using, different devices, being blindfolded, all that. And that's how we learned what it would be for our patients that we worked with.
All right, now we're definitely off topic. Okay, though. Just so I can get an idea of who might want to contribute a little message or a story that can be broken down. So Darrell, did you, Claudia, want to do that too? Would you be interested in that? Okay. Anybody else?
I would.
Heidi? Okay.
And you have online people too. I don't know if they are responding.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily need to share my story, but I
Yeah.
can make sure that I have a couple individuals that would be able to give you
That'd be awesome.
soundbite.
Are there questions online? I totally forgot about y'all.
Yeah. Sam's been online, she probably left us.
All right, I don't see any hands up.
So
Chime
we
in
don't
if you
have a
want.
quorum either, do we?
We do, we just got one.
All right.
I was thinking Sam might have had something.
Yes, I'm giving her a chance. I don't hear or see anything, so we'll wait on that. All right, any last thoughts, questions on this? Luckily, we have a light agenda today, so we could spend a good amount of time on this discussion.
Thank you,
I
everybody.
have one thing really quickly. Is this
Do
going to
it.
be, when we have certain activities happening in the Twin Cities and it gets really packed, where you kind of hype it up a little bit more? So like, 'cause when I went to a concert, I can sit, but we were like sardines on the train just to get to certain spots when I came out of the concert, because we had to be back before midnight to catch wherever we're going or get their cars. But is at certain times, are you going to hype it up a little bit more just so we can have a place to sit anywhere in the bus safely?
So can you hype it up during events is what she's.
Like reserve priority seating.
Yeah.
I will bring that to the person who's in charge of special events and sporting
So
events.
that might be a good idea, because when I went to a concert, and I was really proud at the Vikings Stadium for the first time ever been there, and afterwards, it was like a sardine, but there were some nice people willing to make it work for me, but it's pretty hard to get a wheelchair in there or a walker, you know?
But-
We were like sardines, so I just thought maybe you could hype it up with certain things that we get really passionate about doing certain things.
I'll bring it up to because it's one person in charge of all the sporting events and special events and concerts, so I can bring it up to her.
Does that include weird events like St. Patty's Day and things like
Yeah,
that?
she's in charge of all of those.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Because this would be a great opportunity to teach.
Yep. I can't say it's going to happen, but I can bring it up to her because sometimes we're limited to space. And we have partners that are very explicit with what we can say and not say. Example, the St. Patrick's Day Free Rides is run by Coors, and they have very specific language they want us to use, and we can't migrate from that.
Because are they subsidizing those rides? Is that why you migrate from the language?
Yes, they're paying for those rides.
Gotcha.
So it's not a partnership as
Well, then
we
we
think
gotta-
free rides. They're actually paying for those rides.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Doug?
Yeah, I love the idea of stories from a personal perspective. In my customer service class for bus operators, I use a lot of stories, and using a couple of these in there, they're very impactful. They really make it personal for the drivers, and you see it from your perspective, so it's good to have those. So when you get those, we should get together.
It's
and
part
do
of
that.
the whole training thing,
Yep.
Doug, so I count on you too. I just want to say thank you all.
Thank you for coming to us
Nice
with this.
job.
Trying, still learning.
Thank you, doing good.
I appreciate it, Ange. Thank
Okay,
you very much
anything
for
else?
joining us. Yeah.
Okay.
You're done with the hot
Excellent.
seat.
Freedom.
Unless you want to stay there.
No, actually, my car's about to expire at the
Okay.
meter.
Need the meter.
At the meter.
Go hurry up and finish that certification.
I'm working on it.
And then we'll have you back.
It's not a Minnesota thing.
I know, but they're doing there's a lot of people doing.
Before we jump into the next presentation, I do want to go back to the agenda approval and the minutes approval because we do have quorum now.
Yes,
Thank you.
Hold on one second. So we have these two items on the agenda. If anybody would like to amend the agenda, by all means, put it forward now.
I would have amended the agenda to make sure that we include a legislative update. We should have already had a legislative update,
Yeah.
given the fact that we're 3 weeks into the legislature
that.
already, and we're having massive amounts of hearings about misuse and mismanagement, or the word fraud has been lifted around quite a bit. I'm not certain and I'm not educated enough to discuss the fraud in a level that is a high level, because I'm more on the ground level and I'm more affected by it than not affected by it. But what I would say is that this committee has historically benefited from a legislative update. The last 2 years, our legislative updates have kind of gone by the wayside. So in order for us to continue to do our work in the community and do the work that we do to improve our system, it is imperative that this committee knows what the upper management team is looking for with our state legislature. So I implore the chair and the co-chair to make sure that we bring back the legislative update, and we make sure they come every month, not miss a month because there's a hearing or whatever, because they can figure out how to engage with us via video for 10 minutes if they need to. So I think that this is the biggest part of what we do and how it guides our work throughout the year. And then the next thing I would add would be our 12-month calendar, because we only look at that 12-month calendar every couple years or so. I suggest that we look at the calendar every year at the beginning of the year, so that would be in January, and we plan some of our things out for the next 12 months, so that some of our months are gonna be heavy with inundated information, and some of our months are gonna be changing because the upper management has to meet their marks and they don't tell us right away. So we might have to adjust our agenda sometimes. But in reality, when we have only 2 presentations on a committee that is a 2-hour committee, I think that's a waste of our committee's time. That's a waste of my personal time. And it doesn't give us anything to do for the next month. What I like to join committees that make me want to do something, so that when I come back next month, you're asking me, what did I do? Or can you give me a report on that? So I'm gonna try to figure out, to work with the chair and the co-chair, how we can encourage our committee to come to include an ask at the end of our meetings every month, so that we're at least thinking about what it looks like for next month, what it looks like for the month after that. And so we don't always have to say, oh yes, we gotta look at our 12-month calendar and we should follow it to the T, right? I'm not saying any of that, but I'm saying that we gotta have some kind of roadmap as to what we're doing and to what our objective is. And if our objective is to follow the government relations activity and to advocate for those services in terms of accessibility and accessible transit, then we need to know about what dollars they're asking for. And we have not historically done that for the last couple of years. So can I get a commitment from you, Chair, that we'll bring that back?
So you want to amend this agenda or future agendas?
No, I wanted to make sure that my amendment was on this agenda, so that it forces you to try to make sure that we bring that back in the future. Because that used to be a standing report that we had on our committee, and we have not historically had that.
So would you like to amend this agenda or future agendas?
Well, this agenda, unless you can get the government relations person on the phone right away, which I probably could go out the hall and probably do that. So we can't have an update, but what I'm asking is, can I have a commitment from you going forward?
Oh, yeah.
That will have the legislative update?
They'll be here next month, yeah.
Go ahead,
They'll be here next month.
thank you.
Yep.
Can I say something to
Go
what
ahead.
he was saying?
Mhm.
Then it would help, because we're trying to get new blood to come into it. So if we have some kind of understanding how this runs, then the new people that are wanting to join have some expectation, if I'm saying it right, of understanding how this whole thing works. Because sometimes we're like really on it and we all understand it, and other times we're all over the table and just throwing things out there and doing what we do best. But then this will help the future, so just on top of what Darrell
I agree with both of you. I think these are better held for member comment, because we're approving the agenda for today's meeting right now. We can't, hold on one second. We can't put the legislative person on the spot and bring him down here right now. That won't happen. Okay.
So in terms-
Hold on one second, Darrell.
I was gonna clarify what I was trying to say
Go
about
ahead.
amending the agenda. So in terms of amending the agenda, I would ask that my thoughts not be amending this agenda, but it would also, amending the agenda we wouldn't do, but I would, I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say here so that I don't lose it. I don't think I need to amend the agenda in terms of, what I wanted to add to the agenda or to amend the agenda about relating to is to see if I can get permission from the chair or the co-chair to activate our driver recognition awareness program that we tried to create 2 years ago. So that would be the reason I wanted to amend our agenda, because I talked to a number of drivers on the system. And I think this would be really good in terms of being able to introduce the drivers that we recognize to the rider priority seating, things like that. So I think this goes to our commitment that we agreed to recognize good drivers on the system.
Yes, so I'm going to say one thing and then we'll move on to the approval of this agenda.
Okay.
I don't see anything that's being added to this agenda that we can like discuss today.
I asked
But
if
what
I
I
could
will
start.
say, please wait for me to finish, Darrell.
All right,
What I will say is that anybody on this committee can suggest agenda items to me at any time, and I will do my best to get them on. I will most likely be able to get it on. I could give you like a 99% guarantee it will get on the agenda to discuss issues. Any of you are welcome to reach out to me before a meeting, you know, not during the meeting, but before a meeting if you want something on the agenda. So by all means, my door's open in that sense. We're going to move on to the approval of the agenda and the minutes. If folks have member comment at the end of the meeting, please, by all means, make your comment then. I'm more than happy to hear it. But right now, we're discussing today's agenda and the approval of the agenda and then the minutes, okay? So we have the agenda.
Jasmine,
Yes, Sam.
I'm suggesting approval of I want to vote to approve the minutes
All right, we have a motion. Is there a
or the
second?
agenda, sorry.
Second here. All right, is there any discussion?
No.
Awesome. All in favor of the agenda as written today, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Why?
Abstentions? Awesome, it's approved. I would entertain a motion to approve February's minutes.
Sam Jasmine?
Thank you, Patsy.
Oh, Sam.
Patsy snuck in before you, Sam. Do you want to second, Sam?
Yep.
Awesome, Sam seconds. Is there any discussion on last month's minutes?
They both said it the same.
Awesome. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Abstentions? Awesome. Okay, cool. Agenda and minutes are approved. We'll move on to Julie's Metro Mobility update.
We'll be gentle.
the record, and I'll do an abstention for the voting of the,
For the minutes?
yeah.
Agenda? Go ahead, Julie.
So what we're going to be reviewing today is the 2025 final results and comparing it from 23 and 24. Next slide, please. And just a gentle reminder that the Metro Mobility Program is a shared ride public transportation service for certified riders who are unable to use the regular fixed route system due to a disability or health condition. Some service is guaranteed as a civil right under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. Program is regulated by the Federal Transportation Administration, the FTA, and the state of Minnesota. MN statute requirement is found under 473.386, and trips are provided for any purpose. And I know that you're all very well aware of that, but it's something that I haven't mentioned in about a year. Next slide, please. When we look at our ridership over the last couple of years, starting with the review of 2025 performance to previous years, Metro Mobility ridership has shown a slight decrease, about a 1.8% from 2024 to 2025, reaching over 1.74 million passengers this year. Next slide, please. Metro Mobility on-time performance has improved. We're exceeding the FTA threshold of 90% and have shown continued improvement in 2025 with an overall on-time performance of 93.5%. Next slide, please. In 2025, overall on-time performance reached the 93.5%, driven by 93.6% for ADA services and 93.2% for non-ADA services. Next slide, please. Something happened to that. An analysis of the on-time performance reveals that 82% of the trips that were picked up within 20 minutes of their scheduled times. Furthermore, of the trips that are classified as being late, 40% were picked up within just 5 minutes after their scheduled time. Next slide, please. Moving on to appointment time adherence. Metro Mobility appointment time performance has improved, exceeding the FTA threshold of 90%, with continued improvement in 2025, and an overall 92.7% on appointment time performance.
Thank you for that.
We keep working on it, trust me. Next slide, please. In 2025, 495,000 trips of the 174 million trips provided were scheduled with an appointment time. Of those, approximately 40,000 trips occurred outside of their designated appointment window. Next slide, please. Additional analysis reveals that 67% of the early drop-off occurred within 15 minutes of the appointment window. Similarly, 52% of the late arrivals were within 10 minutes of their appointment time. Next slide, please. Regarding onboard time, Metro Mobility exceeds the 95% FTA threshold, and in 2025 with a performance rate of 97.1%. Next slide, please. An analytical review of the onboard time shows that 96.8% success rate for ADA passengers and a 98.1% for non-ADA passengers. Notably, non-ADA trips, which account for roughly 27% of the passengers that ride Metro Mobility, frequently involve longer distances from the outskirts of the metropolitan area. Therefore, our board time is exceeding or extended because of the length of the trip. It's one of the reasons why we have a tendency to be a little bit higher with the on-time per onboard percentage with non-ADA trips. Next slide, please. And I love the fact that I can end this stating that 2025 we had 0 ADA denials, far exceeding over 2023, and hopefully will be something of the past going forward. Next slide, please. Any questions?
How do you get 0 ADA trip denials? How does that formula get calculated?
Say that one more time.
Sam Jasmine, Chair.
We have Darrell in the room and then Sam Jasmine. So go ahead, Darrell.
How do you come to the conclusion of 0 trip ADA denials?
Any trips requested within the ADA area cannot be denied. We have a 0 denial rate.
But do you change any of your performance measures, like your on-time performance, your onboard time, any of those things that might have a factor and that might play into the fact that you're being able to say 0 trip denials? I know the feds tell you can't deny those trips, but.
No, it does affect the on-time performance. It does affect productivity and KPI. We, to the best of our ability, try to schedule it in a way that it will not affect appointment times or scheduled pickup times, but we push those windows and why we have the need for that 30-minute pickup window.
What?
Thank you.
Can you, maybe this will help clarify, can you give us a definition of what a trip denial is?
A trip denial is if you request a ride and we state that we're not able to perform that ride.
At that time, right?
At that time, or if we put the ride on standby and we call you the day before and we state that we're not able to perform that ride.
That would be a denial.
I'm sorry, that would be a denial, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Questions? Oh, yeah, Sam, that's right, Sam. Go ahead, Sam.
Jasmine, you keep forgetting me. Julie, 2 questions. First of all, thank you. I just want to clarify that, first of all, that the ADA denial would be, so like it wouldn't count if, let's say, and this has happened to me, that they call me back and say, hey, we got a ride for you, and it's like 2.5 hours before my appointment time or more. And I say, that is way early and I'm still working and I can't do that. Then I cancel and I don't get a ride from them, but also it doesn't count in the system, right?
That's correct. It would actually technically be client denial because we have provided the time that we can do the trip.
Right.
So if it's a client denial, why doesn't it count somewhere in your system as a denial? That's what
It counts as a client denial and not a system denial.
But how come we don't hear about those client denials when you do your report?
I haven't well, it's not that they're being excluded, they just haven't been requested.
All right.
So it's something I can look at.
Right.
So are these ADA or non-ADA trips? What,
Mine was non-ADA.
okay.
Just to clarify, I mean, I have had, not a lot, but I have had some. And I feel like 2.5 to 3 hours before is unrealistic to ask someone to do, because especially if they're working or something, and it primarily makes you spend most of your day somewhere where you might be sitting doing whatever, nothing, or if the place isn't opened or whatever it is. So I don't want to focus on it. I just want to let you know. I just want to have that answer in the system. But it would be interesting to hear. I realize we have never requested that, so I'm in no way blaming anyone. I just want to wonder how hard it would be to request that so we could know that. But I had one other question, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
And the other one is that I was thrilled out of my mind that I had not too long ago, like this year, seen a change in the hours that mine were extended significantly. And I thought, yes, I have a life. And then I got another letter. And by the way, I'm not thrilled that I'm getting them in print. And I feel like they don't get mentioned on the emails so much, and they really should. But then I saw that there's going to be a significant time change, less hours, primarily some of the places, one of them being mine. And so I'm confused. Why would there be such an extension of hours not too long ago, and then now it's a takeaway? And I thought that you guys were really going to strive not to take away time.
We do strive very hard not to do that. And Metro Mobility has not reduced its hours. I believe your references to our premium services where the extended hours were reduced to actual hours being performed that became effective January 1st. Am I understanding you correctly?
Go ahead, Sam.
Well, I guess, I'm sorry. Okay, I thought it was the Metro Mobility, but I could look. But is there a reason why we couldn't have those premium hours if we're not going to use I feel like, well, it wouldn't be Metro that would be serving us. Couldn't we have the premium hours, at least so we could have that, a little bit of freedom to, have that extension if we needed?
Well, and especially for people that work in the evenings, I'm sure that was quite a change for you. That was a decision made by the legislature and not by Metro Mobility itself. We have to adhere to that decision. The decision being that extended hours for premium services would be brought in line to perform the same hours that Metro Mobility is, and that did become effective January 1st. To
you have a follow-up, Sammy?
Oh, sad. Okay.
I understand your frustration, Sam.
Yes, and especially when I had gotten
hold on 1 second.
extension so early, or so not very long ago. I do have another request, but I don't know where I would request this. So, David, if you tell me I can do it now, I will do so, or if you want me to wait, I will. It's just, I would like to see us be able to have a meeting with Steve, the same-day premium guy, because I've noticed some changes that I feel like that need to be shored up with if Metro Mobility is going to have a contract with them, and I would like to understand better what we can do to have adherence to the contract. So that's what I'll say, and then David, you just guide me where I need to put that, but I don't know when we can ask for that.
So Sam, please forgive me if I fumbled this and didn't understand completely, and please feel free to correct me, okay? I believe what you're asking me is for premium services, the contract with premium services with the taxi providers? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, I am. You are understanding right.
Okay. So CarePool started in July of 2025. That's when they started a 5-year contract with us. UServe started in September of 2025. That's when their 5-year contract began. I don't know the exact date of Transportation Plus. I do know that we renewed their contract in 2025 for 5 years as well.
And the reason I'm requesting theirs is because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of the other two are that the amounts are more like Uber or Lyft charging, and that they can range, and where T plus or whatever you want to call them, they're pretty consistent ride charges. So if I pay $20 to go at 7 a.m., I will pay $20 to go at 10 p.m.
Yep.
Where it could change with UServe and the other one. Do I misunderstand that?
So forgive me again if I didn't completely hear how you asked that question. What I believe you're asking me is the service hours for those providers in those individual communities, and whether or not a 7 a.m. pickup with a 10 p.m. return fits into those service hours. Is that the question?
Well, I was confirming that the UServe and the other one had could change amounts depending on time of day, where Transportation Plus doesn't. What it stemmed from was me wanting to have a meeting with Transportation Plus because they are a consistent charge time. They charge consistently for what time you take the ride, where the other ones can flex. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And they are private owners of their own company. They can make their own rules, their own rates.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The only thing that we adhere them to is that they have the ability to transport people that have mobility devices. It is not a door-to-door service. It is a curb-to-curb service. However, it is not a shared ride service. And they have to adhere to each community, its hours, and I believe the entire list of every city within the metropolitan area's listing of their service hours are on our website. So it really depends on where you live. For instance, Minneapolis and St. Paul, it's 24-hour service. You get up into Stillwater or in the city of Lexington where the service ends at 5:45 p.m. on weekdays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it really depends on where you are and what service
understand.
hours they're adhering to.
I understand. And I think, Chair and Julie, I think I understand where I should ask my other question. So I'll hold that.
You can feel free to call me directly, Sam. Call me directly and we can have that discussion. I'll be able to hear you much better too.
Oh, I'm sorry if you can't hear me. Okay.
It's not your fault, and thank you for your patience.
It is a little muffled, but we can make out most of what you're saying. Darrell, go ahead.
Chair, I just want to make
Oh,
sure.
I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure it's on the record. Sam as well. Can you hear me, Sam? Because I do use
Yes, I
UServe
can.
a lot, and I will say that their rates are not, they don't fluctuate their rates in terms, I mean, if somebody's told you that they change their rates during the day versus daytime versus evening time, I don't find that happening. I know my partner uses that service on a regular basis, and I use that service too. We go to different addresses all the time, and the charges are consistently the same. what time of day I go there, what day of the week I go there, things like that. So, I just wanna be on the record and say that I don't think your, T Plus or anybody that looks at that is being fair to the two other providers that just came in to kind of lift some of that burden. So I would urge you to try to use them again and see if those rates do change a lot, because I bet you they don't. Because this is a competitive market. If you're gonna find a company that's gonna charge you a lot more, my wife would probably pay that, because then that means she's gonna get there on time, right? But if it's a matter of principle and whether or not they should be competitive in their charging their rates and times, then give them another shot. See what they can do. Because I know the owner is really trying to do good by the service. So.
And I do know that UServe has twice reduced their rates since they started in September to hopefully come more in line with the other two providers in the area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. Heidi?
But it's really the routing and the distance that makes the difference in the rate that you're being charged.
Yep.
Heidi, go ahead.
Okay, I do want to say, because I had a friend that called me and he's gotten some, this is when we brought it up to you and then you had to go and talk about pricing, and this was with T Plus and how they operate, because we're all confused about, now we're gonna have to be charged more, and we were told that it was a certain amount, and then over that certain amount, then it comes out of our pockets, So we were learning all of that. So it had, Sam is correct, there was a period where things were just kind of out of whack, because my friend was like, I used to take this all the time and now I'm paying, different rate at night and in the daytime, and so she is correct, but we brought it to your attention and it's gotten better, but now the problem, and I told you earlier, is people not paying their fares, and now it's hurting the people that truly need the rides, because they're denying people some, because I've literally had it where he wouldn't take me because the first thing he asked me, are you a Metro Mobility rider? Yep. Drove off and left me in the dark, and I had to call and figure out how I was gonna go home, and it took like 2 hours to find a driver that would take me. So some of it is, and it's all cash and all that, and it doesn't matter, it's just the idea that there are the group of people that are making it hard for, like Sam and I, and then there's people who are doing it all correctly, so we just gotta figure out how to fix it and go forward. Thank you.
Well, and I have to say, it wasn't what I've done that's helped to bring down UServe rates. It's actually everybody providing their feedback about their rates being so high that had them reevaluate their rate structure. So thank all of you for that.
And it's also the fact of us that we have to, in order to make the rates go down, we have to use the system. Even if we don't like it, or even if we think it's a little strange, if the more we use it, guess what, the cheaper it's gonna get, guys. Because that's the reality. I mean, that's why they charge such high rates, because not many, they're grabbing the rides that they can grab, But if we all start riding it at least once a week, I mean, even for me, riding it for me and my family is ridiculously unacceptable and inappropriate sometimes, because we never get to ride together. So that means Nikki will go ahead of me, and I'll be lucky if the driver remembers to come back to get me, to charge me another few bucks to go to the same place or where my partner has went. But what happens is, a lot of times, we've already struck up that relationship, so they automatically want to come back to get me. And sometimes I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, just take my wife. And, because what happens is they'll pick up another cash ride on their way back to get me, and then I'm stuck. I'm not going anywhere where I need to be. So what happens is Nikki and I will have to schedule our rides separately, but even though I'm still waiting for that same driver to come get me.
Wow, thank you for that insight. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Are there any more questions from members, either online or in the room?
And
For
I will
Julie?
say, I will say I tried to use them last time at the last month's meeting, and I was supposed to be picked up at 2:35. They did not come back here to pick me up until 4:30, almost 4:30.
Oh, wow. You did get picked up. Good.
I did get picked up eventually.
Well, then
I
Jasmine,
want you to call that in so we can.
Darrell, I hope you're fielding these complaints appropriately to the people that you need to. I hope that you're calling those in.
Yeah, we do want you to submit those complaints through the Metro Mobility Service Center so that we can track them.
We didn't quite hear that, Sam, if you want to repeat what you said.
I said, I hope you're fielding those complaints appropriately. I hope you're calling those in because things will never change. And personally, if I get bad service from a cab company several times, I stop using them because I don't believe that I should have to suffer that. They're getting paid for a contract. They're supposed to serve us. We don't serve at their whim. And so, we have just as much right as having a good ride as a sighted person or an able-bodied or whatever term you want to use. And that's where I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Julie on the Metro Mobility update? The end of this conversation is timely. Next month, I'm scheduling to actually talk to Darrell's point here. We're going to have some national folks come in and chat with us about accessible on-demand transportation next month, along with the legislative update. At this time, we will move on to public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to make a comment?
I thought we were on the agenda.
Why?
Or is it something different?
What committee were you at, ma'am?
We're independent. We had confirmed being able to speak to your.
Under public comment, come ahead.
Come on up and announce who you are. We have about 20 minutes, so we can make it work. And apologies for anything that slipped through the cracks.
Chair Finley, I have a handout. It's not needed to follow along with what we're going to be talking about today, but if you'd allow me, I'd like to hand it out. It's a compilation of the few items that we are discussing.
Could you send it to me via email? So one thing with this committee is we like everything beforehand in an accessible format because we have folks who interact with media differently, whether it's blind or deaf. So we need to make sure that everybody has access to all the same information. So if you email it.
Can the recorder get a copy today?
You can give it to me. And then if you want to just read off of it, you can do that as well.
Can I do that now?
Yeah, by all means. You can give us any information you want auditorily, but visual information you can share with me, and then I can try to get it into an accessible format to share with the other. Yeah.
That'd be awesome, because that might be good stuff for a reader.
My name is Michael Wright, Minnetonka, Minnesota. Wright Telematics. My wife Barbara will be reading on my behalf today.
Chair Fenley and members of this committee, my name is Michael Wright. I am a frequent Metro Mobility rider. I am legally blind, and I am here today on the clock. First, let me state clearly for the public record, I am not an attorney, and this is not legal advice. Every day across the Twin Cities, disabled riders are left stranded on curbs in freezing cold or trapped inside, afraid to go to the bathroom because the ride might show up and leave without them. This is not just a customer service issue. These are clusters of documented systemic ADA violations, yet we live it every day. Last week, my wife and I presented to the full council to offer a solution. Following our public comment, Charles Carlson and Andy Striezik wanted to talk with us in a room at the government building. During that discussion, Andy directed us to download and evaluate their current tracking app, Metro Ride MSP, and attempted to walk me, a legally blind person, through the app setup. I ended up not being able to see the app very well. The password I selected got rejected because it requires a mix of letters and numbers. The whole thing was a mess. The app shows only 50 downloads in the Google Play Store, despite the millions of rides Metromobility provides annually. I've never heard of this app before Andy's recommendation, and when I asked him if he goes through this install process with each person who is requesting this functionality, I never got a response. Worse yet, the Google Play Store explicitly flags that the Metro Ride MSP app does not encrypt user data over secure connections. Metromobility is asking disabled riders to broadcast our real-time physical locations, names, and phone numbers over unencrypted connections, presenting severe cybersecurity and state data privacy liabilities. Transit agencies normally pay outside corporate consulting firms hundreds of thousands of dollars to conduct accessibility audits and uncover these kinds of catastrophic data vulnerabilities. My son and I did that heavy lifting for the Metropolitan Council entirely for free. By exposing these software flaws and providing a ready-to-deploy alternative, we have essentially handed the executive leadership a $250,000 vulnerability audit. More importantly, we have given them the exact roadmap to mitigate millions of dollars in potential class action litigation over these ongoing privacy and civil rights failures. We got tired of waiting for Metromobility to fix these issues, so we built the solution ourselves. The number one thing the riders want is an answer to the question, where is my ride? Based on that concept, we founded Right Telematics and built a platform called Transit Tracker. It requires no passwords and never touches a rider's PII or HIPAA data. We give the rider a way to instantly watch their specific vehicle approach on their smartphone in real time. It's a $15 a month per vehicle, and it takes less than 60 seconds to install. We know this committee has been fighting the visibility and accountability battle for years. We're here to give you the tools to finally win it. Senator Scott Dibble has reviewed our proposal and formally encouraged the Met Council to take it seriously. We're here to ask for your support as well by way of an official recommendation. Accessibility isn't just about ramps, it also includes freedom of information for the most vulnerable among us. We have provided the business item packet for each one of you if you're interested. If you pass this recommendation today, you give the Transportation Committee the mandate they need to deploy this immediately. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this to our attention and also doing this work. Since it's not an agenda item, hold on one second, Sam. Since it's not an agenda item, I do apologize. I think there was a miscommunication in email. I did see your email and I misinterpreted it as a request for public comment, not to be on the agenda. So, Mr. Wright, I do apologize for that. I'd like for us to digest this before we make formal recommendations to the council as a committee. I'm not saying this is not me shining you on by any means. I think this is really, really cool, and I'd like to chat with you offline because I think there are some things that we should talk about more broad and also off the record too. But Sam, yes, did you have a comment to make?
I was going to request, is there a way that I can get their email address or you can give them mine? Because I would love to talk to them too. I think this is fantabulous.
Yeah, we have interest and a lot of expertise on this committee in this particular issue. Is that something we can just share auditorily now, or would you like me to connect you to?
Yeah, pardon me, it's Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, at wrighttelematics.com.
And I'm more than happy to connect, Sam, you with Mr. Wright as well.
Yes, please. If you would, that would be much appreciated.
Then, of course, what you have is going to be made, scanned in as far as public record.
Perfect. Yeah, and don't take this is just miscommunication on my part is what it is. So I take responsibility for not being prepared to have this be more formal. But that doesn't mean that it won't be in the future. Probably before the next meeting, actually, because I'm very interested in this. Heidi, go ahead.
As I think almost all of us
I
are.
wanted to say something, is I'm glad they're bringing it up because the Human Services relies on Metro Mobility, as part of their package to do certain services or to do certain programs or whatever. So it's nice that someone spoke up and saying that might be some flaws or some problems, because I had, and a group of us had, in the state of Minnesota, and Dakota County 2 times a data breach, and then the Human Services data breach. I don't have any more to lose, so I'm glad people like them are coming up and saying there's some bugs or flaws or problems, and they seriously need to be looked at. So I can at least keep my dignity and my privacy as much as I can, because I'm down to the point of, are they gonna take away my boat too, and my transportation? So I'm glad they're bringing it up. That's just my feelings and thoughts for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. And Darrell, go ahead.
Chair, suggestion.
Yes.
Is there room on our agenda for next month to kind of play around with this a little bit and bring him back a little bit? If he's able to come back.
Or do you need to digest it?
I think so. I want to, actually, we might be able to deal with it before that, but yes, there is.
Okay.
So do you have time to come back next month?
Absolutely.
I'll respond to the email that I got. I think it was 2 days ago. And I'll chat with you after this meeting too. I want to take this offline before we do it online. Just so I have a better understanding of what's going on. But this is a prime example of, when we as a disabled community, find flaws in the services that are supposed to support us, we end up usually just adapting and fixing it ourselves. And this seems like a prime example of that. Because, we are living in a world that's not built for the way that we, think, move, and act. So we're constantly adapting. And I really see this as that. So thank you for bringing this to us.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone.
Were there any other members of the public that would like to make a comment?
I do want to say, if you can make it as readable so my reader can read it, then I can ask some really good questions.
We'll get this.
I live this every day,
I'll get this in an accessible format for you. It shouldn't be too hard.
Awesome.
I think it's just a Word document, and we can make it accessible for the committee.
Then Sam can get, use whatever she does and get what she needs.
Definitely. So were there last chance for other members of the public to make a comment? Otherwise, we can move on to member comment. Do any members have comments?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Darrell.
My comment would be, and this is probably where I should have brought my request to you before, instead of trying to amend their agenda. That wouldn't have made much sense for me to do that. So my request would be, can I get permission to start recruiting applicants for driver recognition, so that we can, by the end of the year, we can have some recognition of some of our fantastic drivers and our great program that we're.
I don't see why not. That's always fun, at the end of the year when we do that. I like that. Maybe like a smaller group.
Yes.
Just a couple folks who are like, oh yeah, let's, how to best highlight.
We can do it similar, and we can kind of score them similar to the way we scored them before. I forget who all they got submitted to. Did they get submitted to you, Doug? Where did they go? How did they come about?
Yeah, they weren't sent through me. I'm not sure how that worked. But if it went through Drew.
I have a spreadsheet on my computer.
So they got sent to you, and then we kind of scored them, or how did we do that?
I have to look back.
Okay, but I think we can do a similar thing, and maybe we can add a couple more current questions, or we can add a current question that will get to some kind of more of the priority seating and those kind of things. Kind of give them a heads up as to what we're trying to get them to digest in the future.
I love that idea. Heidi?
I have one question. Can we do a thing where, because I had a really good Metro mobility driver that followed everything they were taught to T. And could some of those, and I don't know if you could bring this back, but can some of those be like teachers to teach the others to do the job? Because she was really on top of it. I mean, she asked for all the right things. She went to my door. I mean, we had a really good talk, and she goes, "This is how it should be." And it's like, you know, and you don't see that very often in this field. And I just thought maybe that's another way they can be recognized by, they can do some homework, you know, and help others learn the system. So it's an idea that you can bring back to you. I just thought of it because Darrell was talking about, and I thought I had this really nice lady that did everything we've been teaching for years by video and everything, and she followed every little T.
I think that's a good idea. I would say that maybe is a recommendation for recognition, this particular driver. Yep.
I can't remember who she was, but she was a really nice lady.
We'll try to get to who it is. Yes.
Mr. Chair, the sound was really bad today, especially not only for the remote people, but for the first speaker. And I suffer from tinnitus, so it particularly was difficult for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that could be addressed, but it's problematic for me.
I struggled with some of the hearing too. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, it's not echoing like it normally does. You know, like loud in a nice way.
It feels muffled. Things feel kind of muffled. Yeah, that's what I'm noticing too.
And she was, we were all having problems, including you.
Any other member comment?
I'd like to pick up on what Heidi was saying. The customer feedback form online for Metro Mobility, can we think of it as being used to report unacceptable behavior? But that can also be used to say, you know, driver XYZ, or bus number, the driver on bus number 123 at 456 was really good and was good for these reasons. For what that's worth.
And just to follow up on that, any accommodations that we receive are sent on to the providers so they can not only recognize that particular driver or staff or employee that's being recognized, but hopefully also share that with the rest of their staff, but recognition is seen.
Yep.
Any other member comment?
Julie, I'm really
Sam
excited about
Jasmine?
this. I think you should join our committee because the driver recognition program came about when I was looking at some stuff and I was seeing that if you just simply recognize your driver, you'll get about 6 months to a year and a half more work out of them than you would if you don't do anything at all, right? So when I brought this kind of information up to the upper management, they were like, I'm just looking at that stuff at the same time too. So then they were like, oh, great, let's do an event together. So then that's when we did the driver recognition thing, and I think you came on board a year later after that. So I would welcome you to be part of our subcommittee, and you can help us funnel those accommodations to recognize good drivers if there are any sitting in the system. And then if there's like a driver that may need a little extra attention or a little extra encouragement, maybe we can recognize them too.
Yeah. Sam wanted to say something.
Thank you, Heidi. Sam, go ahead.
Thank you. People seem to be doing pretty good now, weirdly enough, but could I ask everyone to be kind of especially attentive to waiting to be recognized before they start just interrupting and speaking? I feel like that happened a lot in this meeting, and it's just general good meeting practice and respect for the chair, and that's it.
Sam, you preempted my member comment, where I was gonna try to rein that in a little bit. Before I go, because I wanted to go last, Carrie, go ahead.
I just wanted to reiterate what Sam said. I had a lot of trouble
Yeah.
understanding because everybody was talking at once.
And that's on me. So I'll just go ahead and do my member comment now if nobody else has member comment. Two things. First thing, regarding agendas, if anybody receives the agenda before the meeting and they want things to be added or taken off, please reach out to me. I'm happy to do that as quick as possible. Also, on that same note, if folks have an idea for an agenda item in the future, by all means, reach out to me. I can almost guarantee you we'll get it on the agenda. I don't get a lot of agenda items added by committee members, but I'm more than happy to have you all participate in setting up the agenda. Third thing about agendas, I said this briefly earlier, but next month we will do a legislative update. We will also have, I think it was very timely based on the conversation we had here, we will also have some folks come in, some more national level folks who are working on on-demand accessible transportation, and they would like to talk to us as well. They have some really good things to say. So those are three things about agendas. About meeting flow, I have in the past and kind of moving forward allow things to be more informal. That can get out of hand at times, and that did today. And it's my responsibility to rein it in and to require that folks look to the chair for recognition. If that's the direction that we're gonna have to go, I'm fine with enforcing that. But it's gonna be, you have to get recognition from me before you talk. There's none of this just kind of back and forth dialogue thing, which I'm okay with, but if we're gonna stay that informal route, it's gonna have to be respected by all the committee members. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to start using the gavel and telling people to be quiet and requiring that you wait for acknowledgement from me before speaking. I don't like that rigid of a meeting, but for note-taking, for people understanding what's happening, I'm happy to start doing that. I'm happy to. So I'll leave it at that. This is not a point of discussion. I was hoping to finish the meeting with this, but Heidi, do you have a member comment, or are you responding to what I'm saying?
Well, I was just going to respond to what Sam said, because then it will help certain people, because if you don't recognize the voice, it helps with a name or something. Because that's what I do with Ken. I say Heidi, and then he goes, oh, yeah, and then we start our dialogue. And because he needs some kind of clue, because he knows, he kind of senses who you are. He just doesn't know the whole story always.
Yes, that is true, and it does.
It does help,
It's an access issue. It's an access issue is what it is. So that, and the responsibility is on me. It's not on any of you. But if we can't kind of maintain that sort of organic respect of other people in letting people finish and waiting for them to finish before chiming in, then I'll just start using the gavel and forcing people to wait for my recognition before they talk. Again, which I'm fine with. But I want to make sure that folks online, oh, we lost Sam. I want to make sure that folks online have the same access to the meeting, and also people in the meeting in whatever way that they communicate. I think that it's important for folks to be heard and also respect other people when talking. But again, the responsibility is on me to make sure that the meetings run smoothly. So I take responsibility for that. We are 5 minutes early. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming. I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you.
Hey, guess what I got in my email? The writer letter. Okay, no, I think already signed up. No, I think already signed up.